Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this service this morning, commemorative service for the Bottom Command Association. My name is Ian, I'll be your MC for the day. And I'll just start by with a few comments. Since we have passed the milestone of 80 years since the events for which we are gathered here today to commemorate took place, and our deep gratitude has not diminished at all in that time. And the contribution of the young men and women who have served in the services since those youngsters who laid down their lives and gave up everything they knew in their society to defend what we enjoy today, is something that we can never forget. And every day it is our duty to remember and to ensure that what we enjoy now is able to be passed on to those who will follow. For every country in this world. And you'll see on the back of your program, there's a poem by Noel Coward. And I think those words are eerily true and somewhat prophetic, in that it is often easier to lie in the dark and listen than to stand up and stay firm for what you believe in, as those people did 80 years ago. Our roll call of our veterans is sadly getting quite short. And we have 3 residents here in New Zealand, and one is John Mitchell, who lives in the Nelson area, and he is the last surviving mosquito pilot, and he is at Country 101. The next youngster is Ken Orman, who on the 1st of August will turn 103. And he was a Lancaster pilot, born in New Zealand. And David Fox was a Lancaster gunner and also born in New Zealand. He is currently 102. And I haven't met them yet, but I believe we should welcome his son Graham and his wife and David's granddaughter here to the service today. And we also acknowledge Mal Gunton, who was an honorary member of our association, although he served in the Pacific. He was also one of the first in the RNZAF to fly the Orions. And we also remember, and our President Bruce will expand more on it, Peter Wheeler, who was so instrumental in building, strengthening, and making sure that we have this association as strong as it is today and able to share the memories and commemoration with all of the families and descendants of those men and women. So, with that, I will start naming the dignitaries and representatives, and first and foremost, our hosts, the Auckland War Memorial Museum, and they are represented today by David Rees. And we also acknowledge the support we have from MOTAT, and that's where the Lancaster is on display, and they are represented today by our leads. Representing the New Zealand Government, we have the Honourable Chris Penk, Minister for Veterans, and the Associate Minister of Defence. Welcome, Chris. I think Mark Cameron is still in traffic somewhere. He was expected. Representing the British High Commission, we have Lieutenant Jack Leslie for the Royal Navy, who is the Defence Advisor for the British High Commission here in New Zealand. The Australian High Commission is represented by Petty Officer Anthony Miller, who is on the Defence Advisory Team here in Auckland. The Canadian High Commission is represented by Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Masterton, who is the Defence Advisor at the Canadian Embassy. From the Embassy of the USA, we have the Acting Consul in Auckland, Mr. James Kania. Representing the Embassy of the Republic of Poland, the Honorary Consul Bodzslaw Nowak, who is a regular visitor here to our service. Welcome again. From the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Mr. Saka Hedman, the Auckland Consul. So welcome to you. From the Consulate of Slovakia, the Honorary Consul General Peter Kyrie, Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit. From the Embassy of Italy, which is a first for our meetings to my knowledge, the Honorary Consul Lindsay Jones, and she is accompanied by her husband, Mr. Tony Pigou. From the RNZAF, Air Commodore Andy Scott, the Air Component Commander. And from the Whenuapai Air Base, we have the Commanding Officer, Brett Clayton, accompanied by Mrs. Lisa Clayton. A patron of the New Zealand Bomber Command Association, Air Vice Marshal Peter Stockwell, Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit, and retired, and his wife Alison is accompanying him too. The Air Cadet officers, who you will see have been marshalling the troops today, we thank Flight Lieutenant Neil Thompson from the New Zealand Cadet Force, Cadet Unit Commander, for his services there, and the cadets for their efforts today. Welcome again. From the International Bomber Command Centre, we have Caroline Clark. From the Auckland RSA, Mr. Brad Hodgson, Vice President. From the RNZAF Association, Mr. Peter Birch. From the RNZAF Wigram Museum, Mr. Brett Marshall, the Director. And representing 725 Squadron, Glenn Turner, and the association we work with them is Alan Boyce. From the Honorary Company of Air Pilots, their Deputy Chairman, Bill Bennett. From the North Shore Brevet Club, Liz Matthews. And from the Classic Flyers in Tauranga, Herb Keightley. So welcome everybody, and thank you for making the effort to share this service with us. We will now begin the formal part of the service with a reading by Shumbi Tova, one of the cadet members.
John 15, verses 9 to 13. As the Father hath loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love. If ye keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments, and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your love might be full. This is my commandment, that ye love one another, as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
Thank you, Shruti. And those of you who look at your program will have noticed a slight deviation from the order of ceremony. I now invite President of the New Zealand Bomber Command Association to present his address. Bruce Evans.
Good morning to you all, and welcome to this, the 2025 Bomber Command Memorial Service. Adding to the already welcome that by our MCN, an extra special welcome to the Honourable Chris Pink, Minister of Veterans and Associate Minister of Defence, the New Zealand Bomber Command Association appreciates and values your attendance here today. Thank you. For the first time, the Italian government is represented by Mrs. Lindsay Jones, Honorary Council for Italy. Thank you for your attendance. But the biggest welcome, of course, must go to the families of our veterans, representing the relatives that made up the ranks of Bomber Command. These people fought the longest campaign of the war, Second World War, and limiting Germany and their Axis members the ability to wage war. It is now up to all of us to remind everyone of their service and sacrifice of these brave and selfless men. In May, the New Zealand Bomber Command Association lost Dorwood in the passing of Peter Wheeler. About 15 years ago, when the veterans stood back from the running of their organisation to enjoy the retirement that they deserved, Peter single-handedly took over the running of the NZBCA and kept the organisation going. Without his drive at the time, we would not be meeting here today. Rest in peace, Peter, after a job well done. My thanks also to the Auckland War Memorial Museum for again making the Hall of Memories available to us for the service. And thank you to all the members of the executive who assisted in putting today's service together, and to the cadets of No. 3 Squadron Air Training Corps who render sterling service during the running of this Bomber Command service. 80 years ago, Britain celebrated VE Day, Victory in Europe Day. And so what did our Bomber Command boys do after this? Some of the aircrew were designated to join Tiger Force in the Pacific and immediately commenced training for these new duties. Others took part in Operation Exodus. This is where aircrews flew into Germany to bring back the recently liberated prisoners of war to Britain as quickly as possible. A Bomber Command flight sergeant who was captured in 1942 told me that he dreamed of what his first meal would be when he made it back home. Out of all the wonderful foods that he imagined, his first request was for bread and butter. Many, like my father, were given periods of leave so they could visit places that they'd heard of before or looked up relatives that they had in the UK. No matter what they were doing though, the overriding thought was to get back home. Similar thoughts were shared by the families who could not work out why the family members could not be back within a few weeks. But with around 4,000 aircrew from Bomber Command to find transport for, as well as all the servicemen and women from the other branches of the forces, this was a logistical nightmare. This mammoth task though was completed mostly by Christmas 1945. My and the later generations can only thank these people for the service and sacrifice which allowed us to live in peace and security and not having the prospect of having to wage war in a distant country, however fragile that peace may have been. Again to you all, thank you for your attendance today as we remember our relatives and friends here and thank them for the legacy they freely gave us. An appreciation we bow our heads in remembrance and pledge never to forget. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Bruce. I now call on the NZBCA chaplain, Group Captain Antoine's retired, to lead us in the service reflection.
Kia ora whānau. Good to see you all again this year. It's great being here. Thank you for attending. Special hello to Jonathan. Good to see you again, mate. My reflection that he laid down his life for his friends. I was an Air Force chaplain for just over 16 years, beginning in 2004. First thing that happens to you when you join the RNZAF as a chaplain is that you get shipped off to Woodburn, where you go through the IOTC, the Initial Officer Training Course. It's a 6-month-long course, and I did that starting January the 25th, 2004. I remember clearly one of the classroom lessons we had where Sergeant Cottrell was teaching us various things, and part of the lesson that day was we were looking at the history of the RNZAF, and he taught us about the 3 VC recipients, RNZAF VC recipients from World War II. Was the way I always remember it was Trent, Trigg and Ward, the names that he taught us, and the order I learned to them. Jimmy Ward was a young teacher. Excuse me. Jimmy Ward was a young teacher from Wanganui. He volunteered very early, beginning of the war, become a pilot. I've broken it. He joined the RSDF in 1940. He was trained, and in mid-1941, he was posted to number 75 Commonwealth Squadron, which was located at Feltwell in Norfolk, as a co-pilot on Wellington bombers. Actually, I've got a Feltwell story. Have you got time for a quick Feltwell story? Andy said yes, he's an Air Commodore, so okay. I said hello to Jonathan because I have a debt to Jonathan. He got me on a trip in 2010, I think. The New Zealand government took a 757 load of Bomber Command veterans to England. Was it 2010? 12. Okay, thank you. And Jonathan got me on that trip as the chaplain. So it was a great trip. And we went to England and attended the unveiling of the statues, the air crew. The Queen was there for that. And then they took us around to various places as part of a tour. As part of that, we went, of course, to Feltwell. And I was in the coach sitting next to one of the old guys. He says, "Oh, I've got a story." I said to him, "I want to hear all your old stories." He says, "I've got a story, Padre. This guy had been a rear gunner. And this is the story he told me. So whether it's true or not, it's his story, so I'm just telling you." He said that they would, when they were scrambling, taking off, they'd hop in their bombers and they'd queue up, line up to hit the runway to take off, one after the other. They'd just trundle on. He said they were just, near the beginning of the runway, there were some houses back there from the village. And he says they were just sitting there, and this old man jumps over the fence and runs up to him in the rear turret and opens the little hatch there, and he puts in 2 bricks. And he says to the gunner, he says, "Here, drop them on them there bastards from me and Mum." I don't know if it's true, but that was the story I was told at Feltwell. Sorry, I digress. So, on the 7th of July, 1941, Jimmy Ward and his crew took part in a raid to Munster. Coming home, they were attacked by a BF-110 night fighter, and it shot them up and set their starboard wing on fire. And the wing was on fire very close and around the starboard engine. The story is they tried to extinguish the fire, throwing what water they had on it. Apparently they even tried to throw the coffee from their flasks, but it didn't go out. And the pilot then said, "We're going to go down." He ordered them to bail out. That's what happened. The pilot would hold the plane steady while everyone else bailed out. He ordered them to bail out. At that, Jimmy Ward says, "No, I think I can extinguish it." And he climbed out the top turret and climbed down, and it and he was able to make holes for his feet, and he walked right to that starboard engine and tried to smother the fire and put it out, and he probably, to some degree, it worked. He was able to put it out. He got back, he was exhausted, but he got back inside. And the pilot thought he could nurse the plane, which he did, and they got as far as Newmarket, where they crash landed, and were all safe. Because of his exploits, Jimmy Ward was nominated for the VC. It's the highest award for gallantry in the face of the enemy that could be awarded at the time to personnel of the British and Commonwealth forces. I've seen Jimmy Ward's VC. Actually, I just went and paid my respects just now. It's around the corner up. But the first time I saw it was at Ohakea, when the Air Force returned Jimmy Ward's VC to his family. And his VC was given to Michael Mayne, who was the son of Alan Mayne, who was Jimmy Ward's oldest great-nephew. Jimmy Ward, of course, killed in the war, didn't have any children of his own. So his nephew received it. Alan's brother is Ken Mayne, and Ken's a good friend of mine. In fact, he's here today. Jimmy Ward showed great courage and even selflessness in his wing walk. A doctor actually said after that he shouldn't, because of the trauma, he shouldn't fly again. But he didn't. He was given a note to that effect. He didn't pass it on, and he went on to fly again. He was made up to captain, and he flew again. On his second flight, which was a raid to Hamburg on the 15th of September 1941, his Wellington again encountered a night fighter and was again shot up, set on fire. And this time it was quite badly damaged and obviously going to crash. He held the plane steady and ordered the crew to bail out. Only two of them were able to bail out successfully. And very soon that plane that Wellington did crash, and all, including Jimmy Ward, were killed. Our reading spoke those well-known words, didn't it? Greater love hath no man than this, that he laid down his life for his friends. Jesus Christ, God's Son, did that for all of us. We know that. Jesus knew what he was going to when he went to Jerusalem. He was going to die an innocent death on the cross to atone for our selflessness. And like many pilots and crew, Jimmy Ward did that for his crew. He held the dying aircraft straight so that his crew could bail out. And of course, my question to each of us today is, what about us? What about you? In a world where it's all my rights, what I want, it's all about me, is there something that each of us can do? Some pleasure or something that we can forego for the good of our community? We may not literally lay down our lives, but can we put aside our personal wants and concerns for the betterment of others in our community? That's the question. In the poem Lie in the Dark and Listen by Noel Coward, which is on the back of our service sheet, Noel Coward seems to draw out this very thought. He suggests we can stay comfortable while others go out and lay themselves aside for the betterment of others. The question, of course, is, should we? Should you? I commend Noel Coward's poem and Jimmy Ward's sacrifice to you all.
Thank you, Ernst. Now it is my pleasure to introduce to you the great-granddaughter of Arthur Barton, who was a member of 75 Squadron, and this young lady only found that out a couple of days ago, but I now invite Amy Lyons to lead us in singing I'm Proud to Lead My Country. Thank you, Amy. That was a great way to reflect on what Anne's message was. I now invite the Honourable Chris Pink, Minister of Veterans and Associate Minister of Defence, to address us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for the honour of being invited to join you today at this solemn ceremony. It is a privilege indeed to stand before you today to assist to commemorate and pay tribute to the Bomber Command, especially the brave New Zealanders whose courage, skill and sacrifice remain etched in our national memory. May it ever be so. Before I proceed further, I would like to add to the acknowledgements already rightly given by the Master of Ceremonies. Thank you, Mr. Barron. And all of those, of course, who are here today. To members of the Diplomatic Corps, representatives of various high commissions and embassies, including the Honorary Consul of the Polish Embassy in New Zealand, and to the others named. It's wonderful to have you there. Thank you for the spirit of friendship and partnership with which you are attending today's proceedings. To the New Zealand Bomber Command Association President, Mr. Bruce Hibbert, thank you, sir, to you and your team for your leadership, for keeping the memory alive of the deeds and the sacrifice and the service of those involved in the way that we're commemorating today. To Royal New Zealand Air Force representative, Air Component Commander, Air Commodore Andy Scott, it's a pleasure to see you again, sir. So to you personally, and also to the New Zealand Defence Force representatives who serve today still in uniform, thank you for your service. It's important, of course, that we recognise in the spirit of remembering these deeds of the past some 80 years ago, that nevertheless we still live in a difficult and dangerous world, and I think those who wear the uniform today who continue that tradition so proudly. And of course, in addition to the NZDF, our friends and partners and allies from other nations whose personnel are represented here today as well. Representatives of the Returned Services Association and other non-government organisations that serve our veteran community, and of course to all those who provided generous support to enable today's proceedings to take place. Again, I thank you, I welcome you, I acknowledge you. Particular mention, of course, to the families of the veterans, and of course it's great to hear of those among us today who remain alive and well, and to all of you for whom this is a deeply personal moment to keep alive the memory of the deeds of your forebears, particularly welcome to you. Friends, you will know that it was back in 1936 that the Bomber Command's true test came with the outbreak of the Second World War just a few years later. What followed was a long and dangerous campaign, one carried out in the skies above Nazi-occupied Europe, where they flew into enemy territory to strike targets that were critical to the German war effort. These were missions of extraordinary risk. Of the 125,000 who served in Bomber Command, over 55,000 were killed. At nearly 45%, Bomber Command was among the highest death casualty of any Allied unit during the war. I find it extraordinary to contemplate that a young person might have faced no greater prospects of survival than those of flip of a coin. It frankly is something that I think many of us would struggle to comprehend in this modern age. And New Zealand played a significant role. Around 6,000 Kiwis served in Bomber Command. They came from the Royal New Zealand Air Force, the Royal Air Force, and our fellow Commonwealth forces. They served in many Bomber Command squadrons, but most notably in Number 75, New Zealand Squadron, the first Commonwealth squadron formed in Bomber Command. Number 75 New Zealand Squadron became a symbol of our contribution in our loss and our sacrifice, as they eventually suffered 452 deaths during the war. Overall, 1,851 New Zealanders died while serving with Bomber Command. For a country of our size, and even smaller than, of course, in those days, these were heavy sacrifices. Every one of those names represents a life given in the name of duty. Among them were heroes whose stories still inspire us today. We've heard, of course, of the deeds of Sergeant James Ward of 75 New Zealand Squadron, who earned the Victoria Cross in 1941 for climbing out onto the wing of a burning aircraft to smother the flames and save his crew. Thank you for recounting in a bit more detail in that Padre, the exploits of that fine gentleman. We think too of Squadron Leader Leonard Trent of 482nd Squadron RNZAF, who also received the Victoria Cross for extraordinary gallantry during a daylight raid over the Netherlands in 1943. Shot down and taken prisoner, he and his navigator survived, though others in his crew tragically did not. These stories are just two of many. They remind us that Bomber Command was not an abstract campaign, but a deeply human story. A story of sacrifice, bravery, duty, in the face of determined defence. As we remember their contribution, we also acknowledge the complexity of history. These were not easy missions. They involved tough decisions and often tragic consequences. The New Zealand Bomber Command Association has always made clear their aim is not to glorify war, nor even the Bomber Command itself, but to honour service and sacrifice. Today we strive collectively to continue that mission in memorials like this one here in the Auckland War Memorial Museum, who have hosted us so generously and beautifully today, and the stories we tell and the values that we seek to uphold. I wish then to conclude by acknowledging again the work of the New Zealand Bomber Command Association, founded by the veterans themselves and now carried forward by others, to maintain memory, share history and educate the generations that follow. And on that note, I'd like to thank the Training Corps personnel who are generously spending their time with us today. Thank you for keeping the flame alive and also for your work in enabling today's service proceed smoothly. As Minister for Veterans, I'm humbly committed to ensuring that the stories of these previous generations are not forgotten, that future New Zealanders will know what was given and why it mattered. To the families of those who served, again I say thank you. We remember your loved ones with pride, gratitude, and with a deep and enduring respect. To those who served in Bomber Command, forever in our thoughts, we honour your courage, your service, your sacrifice. We will remember them.
Thank you, Minister Payne. I now call on Bogusław Novak, Honorary Consul for Polish Embassy in the Republic of Poland, to address us.
Dear members of the New Zealand Bomber Command Association, representatives of the New Zealand Army, including cadets, future defenders, future officers, distinguished guests, Honorable Minister Chris Pank, members of the Diplomatic Corps, fellow members of the Auckland Consular Corps, including my long-time friend Gregory White, who is Honorary Consul for Panama, and also President of the Officers Club in Auckland. Thank you for inviting me, not for first time, but every year to your annual commemoration. It is an honor for me to join you again today in this very special to New Zealand's history place, Auckland War Memorial Museum. This commemoration is important not only to New Zealand, to New Zealanders, but also to Poland. Polish fighter pilots and bomber crews fought alongside New Zealanders against mighty Luftwaffe during the Battle of England and on the Western Front. Your compatriots and mine served far away from their homes, defending the foreign skies. Many did not return home, being killed during their missions. Our duty in New Zealand, in Poland, is to keep the memory of our heroes alive for prosperity, for next generations. 2,500 years ago, Chinese philosopher Confucius wrote, "Study the past if you would like to define the future." Many centuries later, Winston Churchill said, "A nation that forgets its past has no future." We should always remember these wise words. I am convinced that New Zealand Bomber Association will continue this important service and other activities for many years to come. We will remember the brave defenders of England and Europe and other countries against insane Nazi ideology and against unscrupulous, insane dictators. Today, we see that evil forces are again on the attack on democracy, peace, and freedom. New Zealand, Poland, Australia, Great Britain, the USA, Canada, and other democracies must stand together as one determined force against those who want to repeat the Second World War trauma. Yes, I'm talking about Putin, who, invading Ukraine 3 years ago, became a threat to Europe's and world's peace and stability. I believe that the history will not repeat itself. However, democratic world must be ready to defend values it stands for. See this pattern, parabellum. If you want peace, prepare for war. And remember, we have a war in Europe, east of Poland, in Ukraine. Many people are killed every day, innocent civilians including. So we must stand with Ukraine against the common enemy. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Sam. I now ask you all to stand. We're going to take the last place now. Do you want to go first? Sorry. Okay. Cadet Sergeant Cameron Moffat will read for us.
Good morning. They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
Thank you. And then I'm glad somebody's on the right page. National anthem.
So our closing benediction. Go forth into the world in peace. Be of good courage. Hold fast that which is good. Render to no one evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the afflicted. Honour everyone. Love and serve God and others, rejoicing in the blessing of God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, now and forever. Amen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may now be seated. We'll now lay the wreaths and I'll first call on our President, Bruce Eva, to lead on behalf of the On Command Association. And the wreath layers will be assisted by the cadets, of course, who will help you your appropriate wreath. Now, Lieutenant Chief Wesley Royal Navy to lay a wreath on behalf of the British High Commission. I didn't read it again. Minister of Veteran Affairs, Chris King, my apologies. Representing the Australian High Commission, Petty Officer Anthony Barr. Representing the Embassy of the United States of America, Mr. James Kenya, Acting Consul. Representing the Republic of Poland, Honorary Consul Mr. Bogusław Markovic. Representing the Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands, Mr. Sake Hikmat, Auckland Consul. Representing the Royal New Zealand Air Force, Air Component Commander Air Commodore Andy Scott. Representing our host today from the Auckland War Memorial Museum, Mr. David Reeves, Director. Representing the Motorhead Society Board, Mr. Peter Village.
Deirdre, can you give us a hand up?
Representing the North Shore Beverley Club, the President, Mr. Rex Matthews. Okay. Representing, no, okay, sorry. So representing the 75 Squadron of New Zealand, Mr. Green Turner. And with them will be Mr. Butch Boyce, also ran with the 75 Squadron Association. In the absence of Butch Group, Mr. Herb Keatley, President, step forward for the honour of Mr. Bill Bennett, representing the classifiers of Tauranga. Representing the International Bomber Command Centre, Carolyn Clark. Auckland RSA, Vice President Mr. Brad Hodgson. I haven't seen him today, so. And Padre Ants made mention of Squadron number 487 and the granddaughter of one of those members, Sally Crook, on Our Lady. Thank you all. That concludes the brief laying. If anybody would like to lay copies, have some copies here. I'll do so now.